Well, welcome back. I'm Dr. Jeffrey Gallops, and as you probably know, unless this is the first time you've listened, I'm an ear, nose, and throat doctor, and more importantly to you, I'm a patient advocate. I'm all about transparency, and I believe that in healthcare, it's your health, your money, and your choice. And I've been trying to explain these changes in healthcare to you for over a year now. Wow, I cannot believe I've been doing this for over a year now. I do know that change is scary to a lot of us, and it scares me too sometimes. And it can be very daunting. But as a business owner, we hear this from them. We hear it from people all the time that the changes in healthcare seems to be enormous. That's why I thought I would invite Wayne Kurzen to the show. I've known Wayne for 4 or 5 years now, and Wayne is a certified EOS implementer. I know that's a mouthful, so welcome, Wayne. Glad to have you on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate you inviting me. And like you said, we've known each other for 4 or 5 years, and few doctors have done what you've done in terms of growing a practice and 15 locations, all of that. So I highly respect you not only as a doc, but as a business person.
I appreciate it, because when you tell any businessman that you're a doctor, your business IQ goes from my age of 51 down to age 3.
Right,
okay?
Exactly.
So, and every business meeting that I go to and I say that, they laugh. They're like, you're right, because doctors generally are not good businessmen. But that's what we're going to need in the future now and in the future. We're going to need physicians, healthcare providers of all types that are business people. And you help people like me to implement. So tell us, what is EOS and what do you do?
Okay. Well, EOS stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System. Isn't that odd?
That's great. I love it.
And what
I'm
it
a
is,
believer.
I've been a business advisor, coach, consultant, whatever, for about 11 years.
And importantly, you've been a Delta pilot.
Yes.
Or a pilot. That's important to me,
Okay.
too. We appreciate it. So, how did you change from that into what you're doing now and implementing?
Well, I grew up on a farm in Ohio, and believe it or not, I was during the Vietnam era. So to avoid being in a foxhole, I got in the Air Force ROTC at Ohio State and ended up staying 20 years, pilot, staff officer, etc. Then
did you say Ohio State?
I did.
Oh my God, I'm being ganged up upon. That's Vicky.
Yes, Vicky and I have that in common.
Big Ohio State fans. Well, another big day here for y'all today, this Saturday.
Actually,
anyway,
we have a bye, but okay. We know we're not going to lose.
Well, like I said, it's going to be a big Saturday for Ohio State. But anyway, I'm sorry I digress.
That's all right.
Tell me how you got into EOS.
So anyway, while I was a pilot, I owned a couple of businesses. One of them, I started importing decorative brass drapery hardware.
Wow.
And
you couldn't be more finite than that.
Yeah. So anyway, we grew that in 2 years to a Home Depot supplier. We had 22-foot displays in the first couple of expo stores. So I've always had this entrepreneur thing in me, I guess. Grew up on a farm. And so as I looked at my third career, I ended up buying a coaching franchise. And then for the last 11 years, I've been helping small businesses make bigger and better results.
And as you know, I'm a big believer in what you do. I've implemented a fair number of the things that you suggest. So tell our listeners about what you do. What is EOS?
Right. EOS is a business system with simple tools. And probably the best way to explain it is your laptop there is running on Windows. And you don't interact with Windows directly. You interact with the application. So EOS is a business system that a business runs on. The leadership team learns how to use the tools, and when they embrace it, 3 things happen. They get 100% on the same page, where they're at, where they're going, who they are, how they're getting there. Second, we call it traction, which, as you know, the book Traction describes EOS, but traction is about executing, becoming self-disciplined, accountable to each other, solving issues. And the third is what we call healthy, and that's an open, honest, cohesive leadership team that gets things done, and they're not afraid to challenge each other.
And that's really important, to get your team together. One of the phrases I love is right person, right chair.
Right.
What does that mean?
Okay, right people, right seat is what we call it. Jim Collins, 15 years ago, wrote Good to Great.
Yes.
And he coined that phrase, right people on the bus, wrong people off the bus, right people, right seats. So in our process, we actually have a couple of tools that help us identify right people. Right people are people who live by your culture or core values. And then right seats is that they actually get it, want it, and have capacity to do the job you gave them.
And so how do you go about finding those people?
That's a good question.
Really, I mean, that's it. Once again, we're talking to Wayne Kurzen, who is an entrepreneur operating system implementer. So how do you find the right person for that position?
Well, number one is you need to define what position you're going to fill. So we start out by building the structure. What are the seats are going to be here to actually support the practice? Then what are the responsibilities of each of those seats? And now if we have an empty seat or a seat that doesn't have the right person, then we can go search for that particular skill set and type person.
So what do you hear that the biggest challenge is from people in my field? Because, listen, we are a business. We're in the age of healthcare consumerism. And we've spent many times talking over the past some odd years about this. And I think it's important for our listeners to know, as much as you don't want your doctor to be a business, if they're not good business people from this point forward, they will not be there to take care of you. And listen, this is information everybody can use, but how does medicine differ from other businesses?
Okay. Love that question. 9 years ago, I had my first client. Actually, it was two dentists, female dentists, mid-30s. Both had families, etc. And what I learned when I started working with these two gals is that the thing that makes the medical field different is, number one, is you hardly ever leave the front line of delivering the product and service. Most companies grow and you move further and further away from delivering. So you're always typically on the front line, unless you're so fortunate as to have the skills to do what you've done. But so you're always on the front line. You're always required that demand. And then the career field itself is demanding, and it takes a lot of education to stay up and be on the leading edge. And so when you throw that in with, okay, in this case, I'm a mother, I'm a spouse, in this case, a dentist, and I'm a business person too. There just is only so much bandwidth. And
that's right.
So that that's a challenge.
I agree. We don't like to think of our providers, our doctors, as being anything but that, right? They're not business people. But I know that over the years, my knowledge of insurance has helped a lot of patients. So I am a patient advocate, and also that is important. So again, so what makes medicine so different is that basically the leader, the owner of the company, is there consumed by taking care of their patients.
Correct. And then you have all the other things, and the profession itself is very demanding. I mean, if you're going to be on the leading edge, you're going to conferences and you're learning new technologies, et cetera. So there's just so much bandwidth.
And so what do you recommend for people like myself and other physicians? I mean, how do you help them implement?
Okay. Well, you didn't get a lot of training in medical school on management leadership. Right. And so, but a couple of things. Number one is to maybe get some leadership management skills, but more importantly, that takes time. It's to hire the right person to run the operation. Secondly would be, in what I do is I provide tools that help the leadership team learn how to do the right things. It's kind of like guardrails to keep you in the right rail, in the right path for the leadership. So it's getting the tools, getting the right people, and then learning to let go. Doctors have never been accused of being controlling people.
Yes, they are. I'm telling you, there is not. I don't know. It's hard for physicians of old to do that. And I think it's important for you, our listeners, healthcare consumers, to know that this change in healthcare is a big deal for physicians. A lot of depression out there, a lot of anxiety for it, because we do not want to let go. We don't. Fortunately for you, our patients, we don't want to let go of you. We want to make sure you're taken care of. That's what we do. We are your advocates. We're your healthcare provider. We go into medicine because we want to help people too. And now we find ourselves in a business climate, if you will, because why? Because there used to be money floating all over the place. We didn't have to be good business people as physicians, but now we do. And if we're not good business people, we will not be there to take care of you. That's a central part. So I want to tell you in this quick about a minute we have in this first segment about us. I mean, listen, you implement that. I show up every Monday morning and I get my report. right? Mm-hmm. I have implemented we have traction and we are moving
You have a
forward.
scorecard.
So we have a scorecard, and I don't have to micromanage. And man, that was tough. That was tough to change that. So for all the physicians out there listening, what little bit of advice do you have for them?
Well, if you get the right people, then you have to learn to actually let go. And it's hard to do that because if you screw up, I mean, there could be some pretty big ramifications here.
Right.
So you.
Yeah, we don't like the word oops.
Yeah.
Especially as a surgeon.
So I think you hit it right on the head is that you have metrics or things that you can measure that let you know that the things are getting done. That's
letting go. You have to have the system. Well, Wayne Kurzen, a certified EOS implementer with us today. Next, he'll talk about vision in healthcare and why it's a lot like soccer. You're listening to Doc Talk with Dr. Jeffrey Gallops on Talk Radio 640 WGST.